Hello friends, I'm here today to start a reading vlog. Basically I wanted to read some Book Bonanza authors, but I couldn't decide who I wanted to pick up. So I should have done it when I was on video, but I had some downtime today at work. So I did like a random letter spinner wheel thing, and I ended up with T, A, and E. So I went to the Book Bonanza list and picked authors that I could find on KU or available for my library. They're all on KU. None of for T, I was looking at Tia Williams, but they're not on KU. And then my library had two books that I've recognized that sounded good, but both the audiobook and ebook for each of them were several months wait. So I didn't put a hold on the audiobooks, but we're not going to have them in time for this video. So for T, I picked Wild Scottish Night by Trisha O'Malley. I downloaded that one on KU to go ahead and start tonight. And then for A, I have Take Me at Midnight by Amy Oliveira. It's also on KU. And then for E, I have Greed by Ava Charles, also on KU. So that's what this is going to be. Hopefully these are good picks. I definitely want to try to at least read 3, so if I DNF, I may do another spin. Hopefully there won't be DNFs though, but I will come back when I have a reading update for you. Hi guys, so it is a couple of days later now. I'm really not as far into Wild Scottish Night as I would like to be. Lots happening at work this week and I just didn't have time to read. So here's what I have so far. I think I'm about 30-ish% in. So it starts off with the main female character at the funeral of her really eccentric uncle who her parents weren't the greatest, and so he basically took her in and raised her. And so after his funeral they are reading his will, and he gives her this castle estate in Scotland that she didn't even know that he owned. And so when she gets there she meets the really grumpy kind of caretaker of the castle, and kind of all the people who have been basically running the castle in her grandfather's absence. That none of them had ever even met the grandpa. He had just bought the castle and kept them on as the workers. So she goes over there to kind of see what's going on, and they've kind of told her that there's this little magical element that's somehow something. I haven't quite gotten an explanation on that yet. I am really enjoying it so far. I do wish that I was further than I am, but that's what happens. Yeah, but there's a little magical element to it, so it's a contemporary with that little magic in it. And I don't know if the magical element is going to be resolved at the end of this book, at the end of book 1. I don't know if the whole series is about this couple. I don't know. I really should have looked into that before I started this one, but I'm trying to go in blind. These were total cover picks, so I'm gonna go read some more now. Hi guys, so I finished Wild Scottish Night. I think I'm gonna end up giving this one 3 stars. It was fine. There wasn't a lot of romance. They kind of start off antagonistic just because the main female character inherits the castle. She goes to Scotland. The main male character has been there taking care of the castle and everything, so he's a bit standoffish towards her at first, and then they get over it pretty quickly. So it was really insta-lovey, and then the magical element, it had a whole storyline to it, but that part's not resolved after this first one, and I don't really feel like I need to, I don't really feel like I want to pick up the second book and find out what happens. I have a feeling that I know what couple it is, and I didn't feel like it was anything special, anything worth continuing on with the series. So unfortunately, I don't think I'm going to do that. And then I downloaded, what's it called? Take Me at Midnight by Amy Oliveira. And I didn't realize that was it's like 93-page novella. So I'm done with that one too. I read that one today at work. I'm back and forth between 2 and 3 star. I didn't dislike it any more than I disliked that it's a novella in the first place. If I'd have done more research and noticed that it was a novella, I would have picked something else by Amy Oliveira. So this one is a workplace New Year's Eve romance. The main female character has recently taken over her spot in the company that her dad and the love interest started. And so she's planned this New Year's Eve work party, which sounds terrible. And then she just kind of kept explaining about how she just wanted to spend time with people and she wanted them to like her and not think she was just the boss and that she didn't earn her job. And it sounds terrible. Don't invite me to a work New Year's Eve party. Definitely not. But yeah, they're doing this scavenger hunt thing for the party, and then the dad's business partner, I think it's a 20-year age gap, he starts helping her. And it went from them disliking working with each other, and then I think one time she mentioned he was handsome, and one time she mentioned he was pretty, or swap that. One time he mentioned she was pretty, and one time she mentioned he was handsome. That's what I meant to say. And then next thing you know, we were making out, but it was already at the 60% mark before things started happening, and I just didn't like it. I disliked it more than I do other novellas, but yeah. So I did download Greed by Ava Charles, but I have not started it yet. So that is my plan this evening and tomorrow at work, to get that one done. But yeah, the first two, not so great.
Hi guys, so I started reading Greed. So the beginning of it starts out, the main girl's father has just died and everybody is at his funeral. And then when she's back at her house, it's the male POV. And he's kind of explaining about how he and her father had an agreement that in order to, I can't quite tell where it's set. I think it might be in Spain, but they keep talking about wineries and grapes and all that kind of stuff. And her father ran a winery. And I think he and the father agreed that he should have the winery, but he's got to marry the daughter in order to do that. I'm not quite sure on the whole setup exactly what's happening. And then he basically tells her that he'll be back to see her and explain everything to her. And then he leaves and is in an accident. And the car going off the cliff. And then it was just this, I'm reading on my phone. So it was the big blank, I was scrolling. I was like, where is everything? And then in the Kindle app, if you read on there, when you get to the end of a book, it pops up the book and author information and everything. It did that in the middle of this book, and I was like, no, I did not do this again, where I downloaded a novella, and then that's all. I thought that was it, but then I pushed the book information down and I scrolled up some more, and it said 6 years later, and I was like, oh my god, I was literally about to throw a fit reading this book. But yeah, so now it's 6 years later, and she ran away and was living in the US. And then I guess she finally got to a point where she was ready to sell the winery. And so she went back to wherever it was to meet with a lawyer to sell everything, but it turns out that he has been kind of manipulating her life in the US, basically. He set up the apartment that she landed in. He set up the job that she landed in. He had like security there watching her, and he the lawyer that brought her back was on his payroll and everything. He was like basically like manipulating her life. And now he's told her like, hey, your father and I had this agreement. You can't sell that winery because it legally belongs to me, because we have this like blood oath and it's legal and all this kind of stuff. And so now she is at his house and we're being held captive. I did also realize that the cover for this book has a like pomegranate looking fruit on it. So I'm thinking this might be a Hades and Persephone retelling. Kind of. I don't know. Yeah, I'm going to continue reading. That's as far as I've gotten, and I wanted to update you because I nearly threw a fit when I thought that I had downloaded a stupid novella again. They're not stupid, I'm sorry, but for me personally, I don't like them, and so I thought I had done it again, and it was a bad time.
Hi. So, not only did I finish Greed by Eva Charles, I also finished Lust and Envy books 2 and 3 in the series. And so I wrapped up the books about this first couple. And as soon as I finished book 1, I went to her pre-order and pre-ordered this trilogy about this couple, and then the 2 books that are like the spin-off that are about his younger cousin. So I really enjoyed this. It's a darker romance. It starts off with the girl's father has just passed away. He owned this winery. They're trying to figure out like what's going to happen to the winery. I think it takes place in Portugal-ish. And they are trying to figure out what's going to happen with the winery. It's a big company within the area that they're from. And she finds out that her father has entered her into this betrothal contract without really telling her. And the love interest shows up with like a proof, like video proof of her dad signing the land and her like to him basically. But so she runs away, and then we skip forward to 6 years later. And time out, back up. He tells her that they're getting married. He doesn't prove it to her right away. Skip to 6 years later, she's back thinking that she is going to be able to sell the land, sell the winery. And it ends up, instead of going to her lawyer's office, she ends up kind of being set up to meet with him again. That's when he gives her all the proof. And he doesn't really kidnap her because she goes there on her own. He lures her there under false premises kind of thing. But basically he keeps her in his house, and there's a whole backstory of like how their families intertwine and who the bad guys are and all that kind of stuff. And I just really enjoyed it. For the first book, they're both really like, they don't really want to be attracted to each other, but they are. And then in the second book, they kind of get resigned, or towards the end of the first book and the start of the second book, they're kind of resigned to, we're gonna have to get married now. This is the only way to protect ourselves and certain people, without spoiling too much. And then kind of somewhere in the middle to the end of the second book, it changes, and you can really like feel their like they have real feelings towards each other. And then the third one is them trying to figure out what they can do together to work together, even if it's not necessarily working together, to to basically defeat the enemies. And like I said, I really, really liked it. It was a lot of drama, but I like that. And it was really well written. And like I said, I've pre-ordered the series to pick up at Book Bonanza. So at least we had a good one for this vlog. So yeah, that is going to be my reading vlog for Book Bonanza authors. I may do it again. The whole like spinner wheel thing was kind of fun. Maybe I'll do a little bit more research next time on what kind of books I'm picking up, because the first two were duds. The third one was good though. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see y'all next time. Bye.